Yes, here we go. The Reentry Connect podcast, the reentry journey with my main man, Mr. Kardell Sims. Those who know him, they know, oh my God, he's making an impact throughout the country, soon to be around the world. I'm telling you, once y'all hear this man's story, the inspiration and the knowledge that he's bringing to the people, very powerful night tonight. Again, it's your host, Keenan Hudson. And I'm telling you, tonight, we're here to always bring information, make awareness, give people hope, show some inspiration to individuals so that they know that if we did it, you can do it as well. So without further ado, I'm going ahead and I'm going to let Mr. Kardell Sims, I'm telling you, the beast, the monster of a lot of the re-entry journey that's going on, that inspired me to do a lot of things myself. Like, I'm telling you, it's going to be powerful. But Mr. Kardell Sims, without further ado, because you go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit of your story and your journey and the big empire that you built, man.
Oh man, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm Kardell Sims. Woo, talking about the journey, man. It's been a
Uh-huh.
journey, but I was just teaching in my class today. In one of my classes virtually that I do on the inside, I'm telling the guys that, them mistakes, when you look back at it, the mistakes was there for a reason and you learn from them. That's how you grew. So without
Yeah.
my journey, I wouldn't be where and who I am today, man. Growing up in a impoverished neighborhood, and my mother had me young age. She was 16 years old when she had me. I had an
Okay.
older sister that she had 2 weeks prior to her 14th birthday. So you
Wow.
looking at a baby having two kids, coming up in the 80s and then the crack era hitting and all that. So by the
Mm-hmm.
time I was a teenager, I was in the gangs. And my mother, she was on drugs.
Mm.
And I caught my first degree. I caught a first degree assault, attempt to murder at 15 years old.
Wow.
Um, got put in juvenile detention center, but because I had basketball coach, because I was a sports person as well. Basketball, I was just we had a guy in our neighborhood that came and picked up all the kids. He put you in sports. You playing baseball, soccer,
Mm.
basketball. He put
Mm-hmm.
you in everything, So I could play basketball real good. So in the midst of me going to court and fighting that case, they came and spoke on my behalf, spoke on my
Mm-hmm.
living situation with mama being on drugs and all that, and I ended up going to foster home
Oh
with the
wow.
stipulation I had to graduate high school. So I went to one foster home. It wasn't working. You gotta look. You gotta think of my mentality was a 15-year-old gangbanger. They trying to get me to go to church and all that, and
Wow.
yeah, I wasn't going for it. The homies were sneaking over, coming sneaking me out. We smoking weed and everything. So they like, nah. But they put me in a foster home that was in the neighborhood. That didn't make no sense. And so the coach and them seen it, so they hurry up put me in another foster home, and it just so happened to be one of the coaches that was coaching me that was putting us in all the sports. He took me in, and I
Mm.
ended up graduating high school, but I was just waiting to graduate high school so I can go back, move back home. So as soon as I graduated high school, I moved back home, but I had a basketball scholarship.
Nice.
And so I was living a double life. I'm in the streets game banging, but I'm also in the college doing my classes, going to basketball workouts, playing the game. And
Mm-hmm.
after my senior year, I dropped out. After we lost that last basketball game, I dropped out of school and was full fledged in the streets. And
Wow.
within probably about 8 months, I caught my first drug case, first degree trafficking, and I got probation because of the college experience. And as
Mm.
soon as they let me out on probation, I was right back on the block doing the same thing. Called another drug and gun case. But in between the time on probation, I would violate my probation, and I had to go to they send me to prison for institutional drug treatment. For you go there for 120 days, and if you pass it, the judge call you back, and then you start your probation over. So I went to one of them, got called back, boom, went right back to doing the same thing. I already knew what I was going to do. It was just like to me, it was the norm because I seen other big homies go. Oh man, yeah, I had to go do the 120 treatment and then come back to the block and do this. And so that's what I did. And then I caught another drug and gun case. I went to trial, lost, got sentenced to 19 years in the Missouri Department of Correction.
Wow.
Yeah, 23 years old at the time. Uh, Walked into the prison, and the prison had a name. It was called the Walls. It had a name for it. And walked in there and went to while you going through receiving, right there in the sign on the wall, it said, "Leave all your hopes and dreams behind."
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm 23 years old with a 19-year sentence, and knowing the reputation of the prison, I mean, that's kind of what I did. So, wasn't worrying about the basketball and all that. It was more saying survival mode. Luckily, the prison was on the verge of closing down, so I really wasn't there that long. But I got transferred to another maximum security prison,
Okay.
and the same things. It wasn't nothing different. Just fighting, stabbing, and all that. It was even almost worse because they was trying to. It was a newer prison, so they was trying to fill it up. And they had what happened was when they opened it up, they ran the prison to get the guards familiar with prison with lower level lower level population, right?
Mm-hmm.
Level ones, level twos, level
Yeah.
threes.
Custody. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now they're trying to make a transition from lower level to max level because it's a max. They built it for max prisons, so it was too wide open. Because now you're trying to fill the prison up. You bringing all these level fives and trying to fill the prison up from all these other out the hole from this institution, out the hole from that institution,
Dangerous.
shutting down this dangerous prison. You make
Dangerous.
man, and it's wide open. There ain't no controlled movement. And so the first year and a half, it was crazy. Fighting, stabbings. It was just crazy until they figure out how to get control movement. And so probably in the middle of that, I was probably like 4 or 5 years in, and Senate bill passed to cut my time in half on one of the mandatory minimums. And I was up for immediate parole. Went to the parole board. I wasn't preparing myself for nothing at this time. I was just, doing what you do in prison. I'm playing basketball.
Bit.
I was back in the day. I'm checking out the King magazine, the Double XL, talking about what rapper got the most money, what the homies, just kicking the bobo. And so when I went to my parole hearing, walked in there, they said, "Mr. Sims, you are part of the problem. You got a few more years with us." And they asked me what did I think about institutional behavior and drug treatment. And what else we need to talk about. My parole hearing probably was about a minute long.
Wow.
I walked out and there wasn't nothing else we to talk about. I told them, yeah, I'll take the treatment. Because we all know you get the treatment. The sooner you get the treatment, the sooner you get released. And so if you get the treatment early, you get out early. So I told them, yeah, I'll take the treatment. And so I got transferred to a lower level institution because now I got an out date. So I was within so many years of an out date. So now I got transferred to a lower level institution. And it was like going from hell to heaven. They had open yard, they had a boxing, they had the wooden gym floors, they had everything. Big old yard, boxing glove, they had weights, pool tables. I'm thinking about a pool table in a prison. I'm thinking, because the prison I've been in, we had none of this, And so we got there, and I ended up getting a job on work release for the governor's mansion. So now I'm working at the governor's mansion. I'm got to wear a suit and bow tie. I'm serving drinks and stuff like that. But I was a lead pantry worker, so I had to set the tables for all the banquets. That's how I learned how to set tables and stuff like that. I was taught how to where your knife goes, your forks. I ain't know nothing about a charger. They like, yeah, that's a charger. I'm like, what's a charger? I said, that's a plate. They like, no, that's called a charger. And it's like, this is what the salad goes on. Well, yeah, I'm like, like a plate to me. But I was working at the governor's mansion, right? And then they called me up for treatment. So I went to treatment. I got out after 6 months of doing the treatment. But in that treatment, I was on tight house, what they call tight house. In Missouri, they call it tight house.
Okay.
And it's basically when you're supposed to be in treatment, but the treatment unit is supposed to be a therapeutic community, but everybody in the treatment unit is running it like a prison.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just happened to get put in the unit that was ran like a prison. And it was kind of like a reunion because it was some of the people that I was locked up with and seen throughout the years going from different prisons, kind of like we all going home now, and we got to go through the treatment. So they came in there and shut it down. Boom, lined us all up. And in the therapeutic community, that you get titles, coordinators, assistant senior coordinators, expedited coordinators, and team. They stripped everybody of their title. It was like 48 of us, and they kicked probably about 30 of us out in probably like the first 90 days. It was new people that was coming into treatment. They was kicking out. And so went through that. I made it out, and got out and went right back to the same neighborhood, same block, same gang. Started doing the same thing, and within 1 year, I caught another drug case. My mama brother's son set me up, and I ended up violating my parole, going in the county and stuff, fighting that case, and I ended up beating that case on a technicality. Get released, go right back to the same neighborhood, same block, same gang. At this time, we was in the middle of a gang war. People got shot, somebody got killed. And so the probation and parole, they was anybody that was in any kind of pictures and all that together, they started violating us on association. Sent me back to the joint. Went back to the joint again. Got out, went back to the same neighborhood, same block, same gang. Got back into doing the same thing. You got
still didn't learn.
Every time I got out, you got to understand. The first several times I got out, I was right back in the middle of the block. My mama's house is in the dead center of the block. You know, it's almost kind of like the headquarters. Like my little brothers, the little homies, and everybody down there. So when I get out of prison, this is exactly where I'm going. Right back into the same neighborhood. 15, 20 people out here selling drugs, whips, and all that. Like we on the block. So this is what I kept going back to. And so
that environment. So you kept going back to the same environment.
The same environment. The same environment. I'm going back to the block, you know, and so right back to the same environment, doing the same thing, rapping and all that stuff. And then with you know, we out here, and you know, police ain't really messing with you that much, but you know you out here and we out here. Next thing you know, the federal government came, picked me and 31 other people up. Conspiracy charges, gang activities, everything, any and everything they could. They took us to the Western District of Missouri up in Kansas City to the courthouse. Took us in there and read our indictments. They handed me that paper. I just looked at it. I wasn't even tripping off the charges because the time, I've seen this type of time stuff before, even, you know, in my mind, as far as the time, I'm like, well, okay, you know, hope we get the closest thing to 10, you know, so, but I'm not even worried about that. I'm tripping off the top of it. And at the top of the paper said the United States of America versus Kardell Sims. And I'm like, dang, here I am, 34, 35. I just done spent from 15 all the way up to this point, juvenile detention, foster homes, county jails 9 times, prison 4 times. Now it is my 5th time, and I'm facing the United States of America, hoping that I can get the closest thing to 10 years if they ain't trying all the enhancements so I don't get life, whatever, you know. And I just asked myself, looking at that paper, like, man, why you keep finding, you know how you standing there and you just in your head, you like, man, why you keep finding yourself in this situation?
Yeah.
And the only answer that came back in my head was, you keep putting yourself in this situation. And so from that point on, I just took it like a silent oath to myself, like, man, whenever I get released, I'm going to be better than I am standing here today. And I'm going to make sure I ain't going to be in a position to put myself in a situation like this again if I don't get life right now in this process.
So let me ask you, can I ask you one question real quick? Because I see a commonality amongst a lot of individuals. So you went from having a problematic childhood, which most people often go through. Then you went from there having skills and having potential into really doing something with your life as far as athletically. But being as though you always return to the environment that you were in, it allowed you to land back into the same predicaments. So you had not 1 chance, 2 chances, 3 chances, 4 chances. You had so many chances in which you were throwing stones at the penitentiary. You were throwing rocks, saying, come get me. And that's often done by a lot of individuals. But here it is. you came to a point where you came to your senses and you had a life-changing experience. So continue and tell us what happened.
Oh yeah, man. Like, man, because it was like this. Um, the feds, the feds come, they got you. So it wasn't like state, like I'm gonna beat. It's like, no, you got. So you got it going on. This is what it
95%
is.
of the cases.
You got to deal with this. Um, I, I'm a cold man, so I wasn't never tripping on telling. So it wasn't no telling to get free and none of that. It was I was taught. Even my mama taught me this: you do the crime, you do the time. So it was basically saying, like, if I don't get life, whenever I get out, I'm my mind. I'm thinking, hopefully I'm 34. Hopefully I'm out by I'm 48. Because I don't want to. My two fears about prison was this, and it really boils down to one fear. It was I didn't want to grow old and die in prison because I've seen it happen. I watched it happen during years. You know what I'm saying? Guys get old or they health break down and they not getting the proper treatment and then they die. That's what I didn't want. And I didn't want to be in prison in a natural disaster or worldly disaster or it's the end of the world and I'm stuck in prison. So my thing was, in order to keep that from happening, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to educate yourself. You got to become a better person. And only thing I had access to was reading books. That's the only thing I had access to was books. So I just started ordering books. Knowledge of Self, Science of Self, Seed of the Soul, Rich Dad Poor Dad, How to Set Goals by Brian Tracy, Contagious, man, How to Hustle to Win, making a mindset shift. Like everything was about making a mindset shift, goal setting, and business and religion. This is what it's spirituality. That's what it was about. And so I just started reading all these books, taking notes while I'm reading the books, writing these notes, putting them down in the folder. So when it was time for me to transfer out the federal holdover to the federal prison, Leavenworth United States Penitentiary, I sent all the paperwork home. And then when I got to the prison, I had them send me all them notes and stuff back, along with the paperwork I needed to navigate the prison. Because in prison in the prison I was in, you gotta have paperwork saying that you ain't telling nobody and stuff like that. That was your driver's license. And so that's all I had. And so one thing about it, I just continue that same regimen. I'm going through the car. Who got this book? Who got the business book? I don't want the hood novels. I done read all them. That ain't doing me no good. But at the same time, I started writing the hood novels because I'm like, if they can write it, I can write it. And then somebody put me up on the Amazon game. Like, yeah, you write the books. It ain't gonna cost you nothing to upload it and sell it. He said, then you can just sell it and they go there and buy it. And then once you make some money, then you just go ahead and buy you some author copies for this price. Wow. And then you can just start flipping that like drugs. I'm like, what? And so I said, well, I'm gonna come out to prison with some books. So I wrote 3 novels while I was in prison. But at the same time, I was taking little classes. I'm like, I gotta have some kind of skill. I need some kind of skill. So I took a serve safe. I got certified in food. I'm like, I can go get a job in a restaurant. Yeah, I got the serve safe. I took music entrepreneurship. Got the certificate for that. Took entrepreneurship. Got the certificate for that. Took Spanish. Got the certificate. I'm like, you got to be able to. I started taking all the classes. Then I took this one class, hotel hospitality and lounging, and it was put on by the college. And then, man, I end up graduating that class, and I end up becoming a certified concierge. Got the little pen from the American Hotel Lodging Institute Association, and then, but I took I'm like, I'm cool. But then they had a class called Consciousness and Success. So at the point in time, to me, success was based off monetary. When I took the class, I'm thinking, they finna go in here and show me how to get some money. Consciousness and success. But what it was showing me consciously and how your subconscious and your superconscious can attract the things that you really want and desire in life, wrong or right. And it taught me about affirmations and vision board. So I applied the affirmations and vision board to the regimen that I already had going on, as far as
Mm.
reading and everything else. So now they went
Mhm.
from not just reading and stuff like that to waking up every day saying thank you to I am greater than the situation that I'm in. And then
Mhm.
looking up at a vision board. So instead of seeing the pictures that I had on there, now I got the vision board. Now I got a picture of what I want my life to look like once I get released. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to be. Got some quotes on there. Smart is thinking big, even when you are small. Visionary hustler, manifest your vision. They got all these things on there, and I'm waking up seeing it every day. And anything that I want to be, I knew I wanted to be a speaker. I knew I wanted to be a business owner. So I had a picture of Jay-Z behind the office desk that represented me wanting to be a business owner, own my own business. So I didn't know really
Mhm.
too much about business. I used to be a rapper. I knew how to sell CDs out my trunk. I knew how to move CDs. So I've always been a hustler. But even when I was selling drugs, I was rapping. So I would sell CDs and stuff like that and go on tour. So I'm like, I want to be a business owner though. I want to own a business. And so I didn't know nothing about starting no business. So I just every day I wake up, go to the library, I find a business book, learn how to start a business, how you fill out the paperwork, what type of business, everything else, how much money it make, how to put a business plan. So when I walked out of prison, everything that I want to be on that vision board, I already had the knowledge and the steps and everything that I needed to know to get there. All I had to do was just walk what I'm talking and walk what I
Mhm.
say I'm going to do. And so that's what I did. I got released to the halfway house. Oh, because when I got released, I ain't have no money. I had four. I got the 4 brown legal folders now. I can go get them of everything that I was gonna do,
Mhm.
and that's all I had to my name. And I went in there. I knew I wasn't gonna take no factory job because I knew I would quit. So I wasn't gonna set myself up for failure. See, they
Mm.
tell you what they tell you is go out and take any jobs. What they don't tell you is what happens when you just go out and take any job. It don't fit your personality. It don't fit who you are.
It's
You're gonna
true.
end up quitting.
It's true.
And if you was like me, you gonna quit. That was just your excuse to get back to doing what you want to do and get back in the game. That would just be a reason for you to go and commit a crime or go hop back in the game just off that. So I figured that out because I used my own experience. Like, man, I got one time I was working for a roofing company. Man, they didn't pay me enough and it was too much work. I quit and I went right to the block. Forget this. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? One time I worked for a battery company. Yeah, they pay good, but this is it. I'm ADHD. I can't be sitting up in this factory all day like this. I quit, and so I'm gonna set myself up for failure. I knew I wanted to be a speaker. I went to the halfway house. They gave me a list of jobs. All them jobs was factory jobs except for one place, and it was a telemarketing job. The lowest paying job out of all of them, but it fit what I was trying to do. I can go in here and speak on the phone, and I got to
Mm.
read the script, so it's going to help me with my speaking skills. Then every morning before in the team meeting, they doing affirmations. I said, "Oh, this is the place I need to be,"
Mhm.
and so that's where I started at. And I had the 3 books I had written out. Used the halfway house computer lab to type them books up. I went to work, got off work, went to the computer lab, typed the books up, and did online life coaching courses, all in the halfway house. That was my daily regimen.
Wow. Wow.
And
So you was putting in work when you found out, like, hey, hold up, I'm gonna change my life around. After all these chances that I done had, you noticed that wow, this is not gonna make the cut. So you took the time, you took the initiative to learn and read some books, educating yourself, building yourself up, knowing that you was going to need a lot of those credentials for when you got on the outside because you didn't know what was going to be stacked against you out here. But like you said, you already knew that certain jobs that you may have taken, if they were offered, you would have quit because it didn't match your personality. Now, I know in some situations, some people are able to adapt to any type of job. However, knowing the culture shocks and the things that go on with the favoritism in a lot of these workplaces, a lot of people don't share too much on that. And it's true because it goes on because I went through a lot of it. But me, I'm always determined to try to work through something until something else comes available. But like you said, you knew yourself. You already took enough time out to understand you. And that's why I share to a lot of people right now that you got to understand yourself before you can understand anyone else or before you can even teach anyone else. You have to know where you stand, what makes you get ticked off, what makes you excel to the extreme. It's in many ways in which you can, get in contact with yourself, just the same way Mr. Kardell mentioned about the spirituality. That's a big thing as well. So, share more. You said so for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you was going to work, you was teaching these life skill courses and things like that. So what else happened? Like, how did it start expanding to where you are now?
I mean, because once I got out the halfway house, I had them 3 books typed up, so I had me some stuff up to sell to make extra money. And so I just started. I went and got a business license. Remember, I told you I knew how to fill the. I had the paperwork filled out before I even went online to fill it out. All I had to do was just look at the paperwork, like
type it in,
type it up, and went through the process. I knew I had to go get a bank account. I knew how to get the EIN number. I had all this written down. I knew how to get a DUNS number. I had all this written. So I had the steps written down. I read it in the book. They said this is how it goes. And this is how it was going. I'm trusting the process. This is what I always tell people. Trust the process. I'm trusting the process. I know I'm not going to jump into no, just because I got my business license, that this thing ain't finna just boom and I'm making millions. You know what I'm saying? I'm still working.
Yeah, grinding.
Yeah, I'm grinding. So at this time, since I'm at the halfway house, I'm not in the same. I ain't in the same city now. I'm working I got a job in the morning. I'm stocking at 5 o'clock in the morning. Boom, at Dollar Tree, stocking. I ain't making too much of nothing, but I'm cool with. I'm glad at the job. I'm making like $8-9 an hour. But right next to it, as soon as I leave from there, I'm going to work at the sporting goods store where I'm a sales associate. So now I'm interacting with customers. Now that was big for me because I'm not a people person, and then especially coming out of prison, I got to learn how to interact with people. So now I'm working as a sales associate in a sporting goods store. I know my sports, so that's a plus, And so I'm working there, and so I say I'm going to move. Now I'm moving, get the opportunity to move, and I'm just up and moving. But I got my business. During this time, I started hosting my own speaking engagement for free. I took my business logo and put it on a shirt. At the time, my business was called Visionary Hustler. Manifest your vision to be the boss of your mission. So to make extra money, because I had the same foes as everybody, I had to pay child support. You know what I'm saying? Like when I worked at the halfway house, I made at the telemarketing, I made $11 an hour. Worked 40 hours a week. That's $440 before the taxes and everything else. So you're talking about $440. You take off the taxes and all that, you down to probably about $320. I owe half of that to child support, so I'm really maneuvering off $150, $160 a week. So I knew this was going to be a problem. So I already have my budgeting plan already in order. This and that. But to make extra money, I used to host my own free speaking engagement, share my story, but I would sell my books and T-shirts.
Wow.
And that's basically kind of how I would get paid for sharing my story. So I used to host these seminars. And that's what I would do, host free seminars, and I would sell books, and I would sell my T-shirts. Then I was, like I said, I used to be a rapper, so I knew how to sell CDs, so I would sell my T-shirts and books out the trunk. Look, I got T-shirts. I go to Amazon. Matter of fact, I got 200 books on me now. I'm trying to get, I'm a visionary hustler.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's how I made my extra money.
So you made your extra money doing that, but then. Now, when did you decide you wanted to go full blown with the reentry sector?
Oh, so I ended up getting my life coaching diploma, end up continuing the course and become a master certified empowerment life coach. And so I was coaching, but I was not in my lane. Right, not in my purpose. Right, I had a passion. I always had passion to help people and stuff like that. And then when COVID hit, I was actually working in marketing and promotion at the same time, running my business. And COVID came, and I had a mentor. He said, "Man, you got to write a book about your life, man. You writing all these. You got these knowledge. You need to write a book about your life. Your life's crazy." And so I wrote a book, and I wrote a book about my life, and called "The Inmate to Inspiration." And that put me in my purpose. That put me in the field because it got so much, man, it took off. And then from that, did the reentry journey podcast, started the podcast, the reentry journey. And I knew this was my lane because I started a book sponsorship program, started shipping books all through prisons throughout the country. Just people were sponsoring books. I had a list of institutions I'd written down. I just pick them, sending them to them, address, boom, send it to that chaplain, I send it to this education department. And they was getting back with me like, then thanks for the books, Hey, they were sponsored. They were sponsored by this person. They were sponsored by this company. And that opened the doors up. But then I got invited to go on a federal speaking tour. For the first time in history, the feds wanted formerly incarcerated motivational speakers. And I was one of the speakers chosen. And once I was able, and I got paid. So this was trust in the process. Go back to the trust in the process. Like I built myself up to this. And they was paying. They paid and they covered everything. Lodging, travel, food. And so, I jumped on it.
Yeah, as you should.
And so while going back in, I understood the impact during this tour for a year. I understood the impact that I had with my story. But I understood also that my story wasn't going to do nothing but last with them for maybe even a day. Tomorrow morning they wake up, it's back. We in this condition. Yeah, he was good yesterday. Today, I might got to figure out how I can get a noodle or something, right?
Absolutely.
And so I was like, a program. I want to run my own program inside the institution of personal development, utilizing the same steps that it did that got me up to that point.
Okay.
I said I wanted to call it On the Inside Reentry Academy because reentry starts on the inside, a prison and a self.
Yeah.
I was like, but I'm so used to it's always the same programs inside a prison. Ever since I've been going to prison, it's been the same base programs that come in there. And I didn't want to go through them doors, right? I wanted to open my own doors. Like I didn't want to be, and this is no disrespect to none of these places, but these are the same programs that been in institutions for a while, for a long time.
Ain't doing no working.
And ain't doing no work. The recidivism rate it hasn't went down since they've been in there. And so I wanted to go in my own lane, and that was peer program. It's someone who's been through, know what you're gonna face it, know it's gonna tell you hands on. But then what I found, and so I'm like, is that possible? Can I do that without not having to go through these base in such the gatekeepers in a sense, what they call it in the hip hop industry or the movie industry, the gatekeepers, gatekeeper programs. Yeah. And so I seen a video of this guy named Andre Norman.
Okay, yeah, Andre Norman.
His own program inside a South Carolina prison.
Shout out to Andre Norman.
And that let me know I can do that. And what I'm saying? So not to mention the whole time while I'm out of prison at like 6 months, I've been in this virtual business group. We met Monday because I wanted to be a businessman, so I was in this virtual business group that we met Monday through Friday. We still do to this day, every morning, called the Morning Meetup. All entrepreneurs, you know what I'm saying? And in this, so in this group, I was through the connection stuff. This group by David Shands. In this group of stuff, I was able to meet Andre Norman. And so now I got me a mentor. Because at this point in time, I ain't got no mentor. My mentor is coming out watching videos on Instagram. Eric Thomas, stuff that, right? That was my mentors. Like, I'm watching videos, I'm listening, they're my mentors. So that also let me know that was a piece missing as well for those on the inside. Coming home and having the mentors. So I offer that as a part of my program. So when I went knocking on the doors with the program, I had my program already together, my spiel already together, and evidence of me going through speaking to institutions. And so I pitched it to Missouri. I pitched it to Missouri But it's the same thing. I had to find all these institutions, collecting emails, adding people, stuff like that, and I just
Mm.
started. They just started hearing from me. I had all kind of content I had already created. I was creating content ever since I walked out of prison.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can go through my Instagram, Facebook. You
Mm-hmm,
see the
mm-hmm.
whole transformation of my journey since I walked out of prison, from where I
Yeah.
started, everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
Missouri gave me the opportunity to go back in one of the prisons that I was in and doing the tight house and then the treatment, to go back in there and run my program. And that
Mm.
first program went through so good that I had a waiting list for the next couple of years signed up because of the brotherhood. Because when I went into prison, I just didn't go to the prison and go to my classroom. Right. Once I got the little badge, I'm
Yeah.
on the yard talking to the brothers. Man, what's going on?
Ah.
Man, you need to come to the
Ooh.
class, man. Look at this is what's going on over here. And I'm glad, and the people in the class is going back talking about the program, like, man, Mr. Steele, oh yeah, he's one of us. You know, because when they first see me walk through, they just thinking I'm just a CEO or a staff or something like that. But then when you come to the class, or if you went to the because I usually come in and give a speech before I even start another class, and to get more
Mm-hmm,
people on the list. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
once I had that proof, and I offered a virtual side to it, because when I built my program, I was like, all right, got to have a virtual side because I'm gonna be able to hit more people. And I didn't ask, was it gonna work? Because every time I met with some other state prison or people that represent the prison, it was virtually. So if I'm talking to you virtually, then you got the access to set the same TV up in the classroom and get the
Mm.
program. So I
Yeah.
had a virtual side, and so for my work in Missouri, it got out, and I ended up connecting and getting in Arizona running the virtual program. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
we was talking earlier. That's what I usually do on Fridays. I'm running virtual programs on Fridays.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same personal development. But then I started, because I have an academy, and what I need people should understand is, even if you go into prison with a program, even though you might have a base program, you're gonna have to also play a part into their other needs. Because I was going in doing personal development, right? So outside personal development, they was, what I'm saying, we talking about building reentry plans and everything else, family structure and all this. They got these other needs that the institution ain't really pushing for the define. Like they might
Okay.
have some housing needs over here and things like that. So
Oh.
now, because how I'm set up, I'm able to mentor them as well and get on the email. So now I'm able to provide them the information that they need, who they need to contact, and put their name in with the people. Like, this is such, so he's going to be released. He needs this, and this, or the housing, get them the information and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to do some of that. I don't care if you
Mm.
go in there with the CDL program. You might have some people who ain't got a housing, and they got to worry about that first instead of worrying about trying to go get the CDL test. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
I started doing that, and then in my program, what I do is I every month I bring in two people. So
Mm-hmm.
I got a 6 month program. So every month that's two people. That's 12 people that they get to see either physically or virtually outside of myself that
Mm-hmm.
are formerly incarcerated doing some amazing things out here. I do
Mm.
that because I want them to constantly see people.
Yeah.
So it programs their reticular activating system that it is possible. I done seen Mr. Sims, I done seen Mr. Hudson, I done seen
Yes, yeah.
Andre
That's
Norman,
it.
I done seen all these people come in who've been to prison, done did some time, they got some
Yeah.
amazing stories and have been through stuff like I've been through, and they doing some great things. And also see that it's a community and brotherhood and sisterhood of all of us. You
Making an
know,
impact.
and so I wanted to take that same feeling that my program gives the institutions. I want to take that across the country. And so that's why I came up with the tour last year,
Yeah.
2023. I want,
100.
yeah. And so my goal was
Mm-hmm.
to hit 100, just give me 100 institutions signed up. It wasn't costing them nothing. All I told them was open the doors. That's all I need you to do, open the doors. And so I want to bring that same feeling to the institutions across the country. But not only that, the feeling I'm talking about is the impact of formerly incarcerated educators, peer educators, those who've been through it, know what it's like, and got out and have their own solution, because what you're doing to get to where you're at as far as not the same solution that worked for me. My solution not the same solution that worked for you.
It's true. That's
That's
true.
why it's, and so, but we're successful in doing it, and we changed our life around. We're proof. We are the
Yeah, yeah.
evidence.
And,
It's us, because these
yeah,
other, like I said, these other programs been in here for 20, 30,
for 20,
40
30 years.
years,
Yeah,
and the recidivism rate ain't went down number 1%.
that's it.
You
And
know what I'm saying?
Mr. Kardell, can I ask you a question real quick? Because I mean, you bring up a good point when you said that some of the strategies or the things that work for you, like you said, may not work for somebody else, but it can be relatively almost the same because you've been through the same things. So they could possibly work. So, far as you being in the reentry sector, trying to connect with other people or connect with people that probably got, even somebody like Andre Norman, great inspiration, travel the whole world, teaching his side and his strategies on everything about being incarcerated, to all the way to how to run the perfect jail. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you meet people, do you have challenges with connecting at times, or do you feel as though that you just go with the flow and just build your own lane at times?
I always tell people to don't put too much in connecting. Yeah, you want to connect with these people,
Uh-huh.
but my mom, business mentor David Shan told me this: go out and build something. When you build something, it would attract those that you need to attract. And
Mm,
so I don't, yeah, I like to network with these people, but you got to build your own wave. And then in the process of building your own wave, there'll be some waves that come along with you that just fits. Not everybody's not a good fit with each other. Everybody's style is not a good fit with
mm,
everybody's style. You
mhm,
just gotta just organically let them relationships build themselves. Even though I met Andre Norman in that business group and got some tips from him that day, um, we didn't build a relationship till 3.5 years later.
wow.
You see what I'm saying? And and that could be him. He might have been sitting back and been like, okay, I see he's dedicated to this work, and he's watching me build to the
Mm,
point where he says I want to connect with them. Or he
wow.
might have got to the point where I built to a level where it just happened to where it just came together like that,
Wow.
to a
Hmm.
respect thing,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you have to build your wave. It's a lot of people, and that's what I hear all the time. It's a lot of competition in the reentry space,
I'm
and
telling you.
it shouldn't be that way. That's why I never make it hard to jump on the call with me. I never
Yeah, I appreciate
try to
that.
I
Yeah.
never charge nobody
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
formerly incarcerated to jump on the call with me, and nothing like that. I
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
out game that I can give out to them,
Yeah.
because that's what it should be all about. Like, if we
All about
pushing the same mission and the same narrative,
yeah.
of course, there's different levels to the grind or whatever, but I'm just it's just not me. If I can, what I'm saying, if I can give it to you, I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it to you, and I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
to you on how it worked for me, on the steps I took. Like,
Yeah.
this is what it took, and
Absolutely.
so I just ain't in the. I don't see the I don't. I try not to. I don't see the. I'm more of a collaboration person, right?
Yeah.
That's why I started my podcast. My podcast was to build my network in the reentry field. I'm
Hmm.
I'm fresh in the reentry field. Yeah, I'm a coach, but I'm
Yeah.
fresh in the reentry space off what my mentor told me to do, and it
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
me in where I belong. It put me in my community.
Yeah.
And so I built the podcast to start meeting people, start building.
Mm,
I wasn't even trying to build a podcast to get paid and none of that. I built the podcast to build my network, meaning everybody that come on my podcast, I now have a relationship with,
yeah. Yeah.
and they have a relationship with me. I
Absolutely.
know their story, they know my story. Not saying that
Yeah.
we gotta mess with each other every day, but sooner on down the line, you never
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
when connect. Aaron Smith
Yeah.
is another example. Man, I was on Aaron's podcast. He was on my podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Every night, once or twice a year, we used to speak to each other. when I said I'm doing a tour, he said, "Bro, I like the idea, man. I want to get on there and do the documentary, man, and go in and educate too."
Support.
I said, "We're gonna try to get some sponsors, but most likely we ain't." And he didn't come in asking about how we gonna get paid and none of that, you know. And from that point on, me and him started speaking every day because we putting this together. Me, him, and Coach Smelly's relationship heard the same way. We probably talked once or twice a year, and then when it came to the tour, because we had built the network and just, hey man, how you doing? I ain't talked to you in the 6-7 months. Now it came opportunities for us to collaborate. That's what it is. Sometimes you can't force the collaboration. You got to wait for the opportunity to present itself.
You're right.
To collaborate.
You're right. You're
and
right.
then that's what happened. And now we built the brotherhood and sisterhood. You know, now we don't travel 8 states together.
Yeah,
With Dallas and Trinice, they the same way. They on the team. We don't, you know what I'm saying? And now we don't build a foundation of that, and that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and that's powerful because a lot of times, and I want everybody to understand this, that when you do come home and you have a lot of things that you want to do and accomplish, you can't get upset when somebody says, "Hey, continue working, continue building, and then we'll connect." Because you can't expect, okay, what I have or what Kardell has or what Andre has built for us to just give it to you and you can just do something with it. Like you see what I'm saying? Like it takes time for you to build your own wave, your things that you can do. You may look at it and say, "Oh well, yeah, you doing this or you doing that, or yeah, you got this going on, you got that going on." Yes, because things work for me that way. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you that way. So building yourself up, getting yourself out there, getting a couple books under your belt, probably doing a podcast, building some programs out, because for a while in the past, I used to always think like that. I'm trying to connect with people just because I'm making motivational videos. They're going to say, well, what do you know what I'm saying? Just because I'm making motivational videos, I'm like, yeah, I want to connect with people. I want to connect with Wallow and them. Yeah, making motivational videos. Well, what do you have to offer when you connect? A motivational video? It's not, you got to build a foundation of a lot of things, but that comes with learning, that comes with researching, that comes with, yes, connecting and taking the advice. So you got to still. So now you're stealing. You got to steal. Then you're stealing legitly, though. You got to still get the advice from here, get the advice from there. Take these
it really
words.
Shouldn't be no steal because somebody giving you the advice. They should be giving you on the point, hoping that you use
hoping that you get it. Exactly. So, yeah, so like you said, it's not even a form of stealing. Let's rephrase that. It's a form of just taking the advice, just taking these jewels from people and then just, and building and making your own thing. Not saying you taking what they did and trying to imitate it. No, you build your own thing out. And sometimes, and truth be told, Mr. Kardell, when you had mentioned earlier, even about the vision boards and putting your dreams on paper and being able to visualize them and seeing where you see yourself, sometimes that's really needed for individuals because some people don't know how to find their way or their goals. And it's hard because there's plenty of times where I've been told things numerous of times, but I never grasped it until later in life. Like that, oh, that's what such and such was talking about. Or that's what, you know what I mean? And sometimes it just may not be your time for that. Like, because before I made my first motivational video, listen, I was grinding and working for 5 years straight, planting my own personal foundation, my living quarters, making sure I had security, making sure that I was able to have a comfortable living situation before I started venturing out doing entrepreneurship or venturing out doing other things for the community, things like that. I had to make sure I was right first.
Right.
You understand, Mr. Kardell?
And that's what I was saying. See how your steps is and lessons is different than mine because that's how you started out. So when I started out, I already somewhat had them foundations, you know what I'm saying, this last time as far as the housing part, right?
Mm.
So I was able to not have to worry about that and put that energy into because like even though I got my business, I'll have a nonprofit that I run back in my hometown to help build that back up the community that I destroyed in through selling drugs. Ain't no properties there, ain't no stores there, no,
Wow.
ain't there. So we're you know what I'm saying we do community events,
Mm-hmm.
um, everything, you know. And so now our goal is to rebuild over there and bring value back to the neighborhood.
That's
And
cool.
so I
Yeah.
started that. I had that going on coming out, then trying to move my speaking business. Like I had a lot on my plate, but I was just that locked in and I didn't have to worry about them basic necessities of the housing, a
Mm.
secure, and when I say housing, I mean secure, healthy housing.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I ain't talking about, you know, like I was there before, you know, you getting out and you go into a house just to have a household and a house plan, but it's really not a healthy house.
Tell them, tell them,
You
tell
think
them.
that's another setup for you. And that's another thing I learned. Like you have to know these things. Like
The
these are things you
environment.
have to know. If you do the best that you can. Some people are afraid to say, because they don't want to go to a good halfway house, they'd
I
rather
have
go
a,
to an unhealthy
that's
household.
that, and that don't make no sense. I
It
don't
don't make no
understand
sense.
that everybody that's listen what he just said.
For
Y'all
real.
rather go to a living quarters that's no good for you, rather than go to a halfway house and transition little by little in
Little by
increments,
little. And
preparing
the
yourself.
thing is, you if you operate that right, saving your money up. By the time you come up out that household,
You
I
got
mean about
a few
that
thousand.
halfway house, you got some money to go
You got
get
a
your
few thousand.
own place. You
That's it.
know,
Even if it's
and
a room, even
it,
if you came out of the halfway house and you had to get a room to get on your feet, it's something. You're
man, you
out of
better
the halfway
man what?
house.
You
Telling you,
better go
man.
look. I'm mentoring a guy right now. He did 31 years.
Wow.
31 years. You know,
Wow.
man. And when I'm talking about um the criminal mentality is embedded in him.
Wow.
It is embedded in him. You ever heard somebody say gangster to the core?
Yeah.
Gangster to the core. But that was him a year ago when he got out.
Yeah.
Him setting small goals about himself, just learning different things over the years. And this is what I say, I always have that dream. And this is what it goes back. You saying, yeah, it didn't start to 5 years, but once you locked in on that vision,
Mm.
all I want to, that's all I tell everybody. What's your vision? And I
What's your
don't want no
vision?
limitations on it. What? Because at first, like, man, I want to get in robotics and electric engineering. I'm 54 years old. I can't go to school. I owe debt. Every excuse down the thing. I said, I need to know what your dream is. What's your vision?
Mm.
If you can do it, what you want to do, what is it you want to do?
Absolutely. You
And he
talking?
said, and he told me that. And
Yeah.
a year later, now I had to teach him how to get in his phone and everything. How to send an email, how to get on the Google Meet for a mentorship, how to
Wow.
do all the you know what I'm saying, getting a job and you know everything else. And there's been some bumpy roads. He you know what I'm saying, he got into the one housing place and they end up doing an audit and shutting the housing place down. Now he had to try to find another housing place. So we had to
Wow.
find him some more housing. Then he
That
was
was
in the
life.
cooking.
That's
Yeah,
life. That's life.
that's right.
That's
But
life.
I'm telling you, he's getting frustrated. I'm telling him, this is the process. I said, this is part of the process. I said, 5 years from now, or even 6 months from now, you're going to be looking back and
Gonna
saying,
look
man, that's
back.
part of the process.
You're gonna look
Now,
back.
here it is. Now, at the end of this month, he's getting enrolled in. He already rolling. They got this FAFSA and all of that. He's getting into
Nice.
college for electrical. Going for
Nice.
an electrical school. And then on the
Yes.
side, he's doing the STEM robotic stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So he's already,
That's it.
you know, now we can now he's just locking in on getting, his driver's license and get him a vehicle and stuff like
That's
that.
what's up.
But you on the road to where you say your dream wants to be. You say you want the career in that.
Yeah.
This is what you win. But it's a
Yeah.
process.
The
And that's what people
process
have to understand. But it starts with a vision. If you
with
can't
the vision.
where you go, if you can't see yourself going nowhere, then where you going?
Where you going?
You
That's
know what I'm
true.
saying?
And Mr. Kardell, I want to go on for the rest of the night, man, because I know this is some valuable information that everybody is receiving. You got a lot of people that's in this chat. Like I said, from Bayak, he mentioned a lot of things. He says, go at it, never stop. Miss Darlene, she says, good evening, Kings. Mr. James Baker, Brandy McQueen, they're all in here supporting you,
Oh
Gardell. I'm
man, I
telling you,
appreciate the
a
love. I
lot.
appreciate the love, man.
They love you, man. I'm telling you, a
You
lot
know
of
I
them
can
know
go
who you
home,
are,
man.
but we want to be on here all night, but without, we'll do the time restraints. We definitely going to probably have you on the show in the near future panel. Like, how we do, man. You had me on your podcast. I was glad when, you said yes to even coming on mine. I really appreciate that. I want to let you know, man, you're really being an inspiration to everybody, even inspiration to me. They're giving me ideas and giving me motivation to push and do more. So if you can go ahead, throw out your accolades, your book, where people can find you, your socials, just throw it all out there, man, and tell them what you're doing and what you're expecting, man.
Yeah, so man, y'all can find me at I am Kardell Sims, all socials, or Kardell Sims, all socials. But yeah, man, my website, KardellSims.com. You can go there to the evidence locker. I call it the evidence because my clothing line is called I Am the Evidence. You can get you some I Am the Evidence merch. I think we all are the evidence. We overcame, and we've been through it. And so if you've been through it, that clothing line represents you to the fullest. I am the evidence. And there it is on the screen at KardellSims.com, the evidence locker. What I got coming up, 2024, we going back on the road with this tour, and we making them pay. Because last year we funded majority of it with a few sponsors, but majority of it was funded out of all the educators' pockets. So this year they ready to pay. And so we open the doors up, and we're gonna bring more educators with us. Whoever's down, and we can get you in. Just reach out. But this year, man, for me, it's continue to make an impact on the inside. Whether it's the programs, whether it's the mentorship. I got some things in the making with some other programs that I'm looking to start this year, and then building the network and collaborating because I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to get in on. You got a reentry conference or something going on? I'm open. I'm trying to get in on the reentry conferences, man. I don't see my name on the reentry conference.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming, Kardell. You pushing. Listen, you pushing. As you said earlier, you told people trust the process.
Most definitely.
The time is going to come. We may look at people and say, well, they got this and they got that. Well, you don't know what it took for them to get that and whatever they have. And you don't know what they're doing to keep it. But however, if we stay focused, we keep pushing forward, we know things are going to come. Despite what anybody say, you're going to have critics out here. They're going to criticize you. You're going to have your own family turn on you. You're going to have people, that's going to say, oh, that's just not going to work altogether. You just talking. But just know none of that means anything for the things you worked hard for. So you got to constantly keep pressing, keep pushing those individuals that are listening right now from the prison cell, those individuals that are listening from the transitional housing, those correctional officers that are listening, the directors, the principals of these school districts. Listen, this is serious. We're tired of this recidivism rate just constantly just rising. These programs that we thought that was something, they're not helping anybody, but again, we're here to bring that change. And once again, Mr. Kardell, we appreciate having you here on this podcast, the Reentry Connect. I'm your host, Keenan Hudson. But Mr. Kardell, man, thanks, man. We really
appreciate you having me on, man. And appreciate everyone that tuned in. Most
yes, indeed. So without further ado, we're going to say, everybody have a good evening, good day. Until next time, we'll